I feel like Mike Jordan, give me the rock and I'm scoring. Hey, came from the bottom, that's foreign. I swear that I'm up for the sun in the morning. Yeah, they know that we ain't the same. 402, we rap the game. I told them this ain't a game.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Big League Chicago. I am Rick, bringing you another episode of BLC. Going to be joined here by a couple of the other fellas here soon. Big League Chicago is brought to you by Star 6 Media. If you guys could see it right up there, Star 6 Media, bringing you the best in Chicago sports. We have got a lot to talk about today. We're going to start off with the C Red segment, talking a little bit about the Bulls. Zach LaVine, how he's been doing, and just how weird the Bulls are in general. Then we're going to move on to Hawks talk. Jack is probably going to take a lead on that one. And then we're going to go into Bears breakdown, kind of do like a season review of the Bears. They have the number one pick. They got all sorts of, I guess, just stuff going on, really, right? Like, that's going to be a crazy season for the Bears, or off season, I'm sorry, for the Bears. And then we're going to move into 4 stars of the week. But yeah, let's get into the C Red segment. The Bulls, winners of 8 of their last 11. And like I said, one of the weirder Bulls teams I think we've seen in recent memory. Winners of last 11, they're obviously playing really well against very, very good teams. They've beaten the Celtics, the Bucks. You go down the line, the Nets, the Sixers. And then they lose to, like, I want to say the Cavs, but not really, because the Cavs are actually pretty good this year as well. But they lose to, like, the Timberwolves, the Hawks. They beat the Mavericks. They can beat the Wizards, but they lose to the Kings. They lose to the Warriors, but again, they beat, like, the Bucks and the Celtics, 2 teams that were in the playoffs last year. And we've got Unseen Pets here in the chat. Hello, I'm chill now. Unseen Pets, welcome back. We'll be talking Bears here in a bit. Stay tuned. And, you know, joining me right now, a guy who could probably talk a little bit better about the Bulls and what they've been doing. We got our boy, Tony Football, and another one of our boys right here, Eric. And joining us is Jack. So we got a lot of the crew. What's going on, fellas?
we all came at one time. Sorry, Rick.
No, I love it. It's great. It's like a huge entrance. I love it.
There you go.
So we're talking Bulls right now. We're talking C Red segment, which, by the way, let me put the banner up just so everyone knows what we're talking about. We're talking C Red segment. Tony Football, you love the Bulls, but what's going on with the Bulls? Like, I started the segment off like they're one of the weirder teams right now because they're beating really good teams that were in the playoffs last year, but they're losing against probably some of the worst teams in the league. What is going on?
Fun fact, before they started calling me Tony Football, they were calling me Tony Basketball. Now look, let's talk Chicago Bulls.
Bro, stop.
Tony 3 points. Tony 3-pointer.
Let me put that to bed right now.
3 points, Tony.
Start calling you Tony Basketball. We didn't even start calling you Tony anything, bro. That's all you. We never. No, just stop, bro. Just stop. I'm gonna stop you before you get ahead.
We're gonna ignore the hate, right, and continue to answer your question, Rick. What was your question again?
The Bulls. The Bulls have been one of the weirdest Bulls teams we've seen, I think, in recent memory, because they are beating like these playoff caliber teams from last year, but they're losing against like the Kings, the Cavaliers to an extent, right? Like, they're pretty good, but you know, they're just losing against bad teams, but beating these really good teams. So what is going on with this team? Like, can you explain any of it?
No, they are the complete opposite of that. You know, this is my fault. You know, because last year I was like, why can't you guys be the complete opposite? Why can't you guys beat the good teams, right? And I literally said I would rather have that, and yet here I do. I have it now. Now, like, you know, be careful what you wish for, because here we have the Bulls who are beating the playoff contending teams, who are beating the top seeds in the East and West, and yet when it comes to the teams that they're supposed to win against,
Mm-hmm.
it's not happening. And maybe to me that screams like mentality.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. There's something about that I guess their way of being as a team that's not clicking. You know what I mean? Like, where's your
Yeah.
identity here? You know what I mean? Because if you're gonna bring it, if you could bring it for the teams that are quote unquote better than you, the teams that
Mm-hmm.
are on the top of the East, why can't you bring that same mindset to the teams that should be beatable? Teams like the Kings you mentioned, like Orlando,
Yep.
like Oklahoma City, you know, the teams that are younger teams still trying to find their identity. You know what I mean? It's like you should be able to beat that. So
Mm-hmm.
there's something going on there. That's where I always go back to coaching. Why is it that Billy Donovan has that team ready for teams like the
Yeah.
Bucks and the Celtics, but not these other teams? Like, what are you doing differently? Are you guys literally taking them lightly? Because if that's the case, like, no, like someone needs to put
Yeah.
that to bed. Like, whether it's whoever's team this is, whether it's Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan,
Mm-hmm.
Billy Donovan, one of you three have to literally like get into your like these players and be like, look, we play every single team and like the same. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter what their record is. They're a professional team. They deserve to be in the NBA, and we're going to treat them as such. We're not going to take them lightly because that's what it seems like they're doing right now.
Yeah, and you mentioned the coaching. It almost seems like they're like, hey, we can go easy on these guys or something like that. I don't know what it is. The mentality, like you said. Eric, what do you got on the Bulls, man? They're weird. I feel like you're gonna drop some knowledge on us right now. What's going on?
They're gonna have some hate.
No, it's never hate, man. It's just, I mean, what you said is correct. Like, it's a team that's just weird, and the only reason why they're weird is, again, last year we preached it. I was with Jose on this part that we preached that the Bulls somewhat compete against the good teams. They beat up the bad teams, but compete with the good teams. Now we got the complete opposite. It's just kind of like,
Right.
guys, what the hell are you guys are doing? And it comes back to Jose says coaching. I honestly think it just comes down to the players. I honestly believe like they're just like all the small teams are just beneath them, and it just feels weird to the fact like they beat the Brooklyn Nets and they ended their streak. They had a good game against the Utah Jazz, and then it's just kind of like as I don't want to get my hopes up simply because I'm gonna see a game where they're gonna get blown out by like this by like how they had like against the Cavs or get their head kicked in against like the Pistons, the Pacers, the Thunder, like how they did against the Rockets. And it's kind of like if they make it into this, if this is the common trend for the whole entire season, I'm gonna get turned off really, really quick because we're not gonna see good, consistent basketball
Not really.
from the Chicago Bulls.
How can you when you go against playoff teams and they're actually competing and winning? That's where it should matter. You know
Right,
what I mean?
but what should matter the most too, as well, is like we want to see this night in and night out. We want to see it against the Bucks, and then we also want to see it against the Thunder. We want to see it against the Heat, and we want to see it against the Sacramento Kings. Right? We want to see it against the Brooklyn Nets and also the Detroit Pistons. You know what I mean? Like we want to see it like we could. I bet you right now, like if we beat the Brooklyn Nets, right, but the Bulls lose by 1 against the Detroit Pistons, you're gonna be more upset that they lost against the Pistons and be like, "Oh, they kept it close." But at the same time, it's like it should have never been that close in the first place if you really could dominate this other team. So like, it's kind of like it's there.
But were we though? Because last year we were saying the opposite though.
For subpar performances.
But we were saying the complete opposite last year. If you look, Jack, I'm pretty sure Jack, when the White Sox were that team that couldn't beat the good teams, I'm pretty sure he was wishing the opposite as well. No.
Well, so I felt like I was honest about all of what I was seeing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Rick can hold me to that.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's very true. And I just feel like I kind of feel what Eric's saying too, with like the whole like, because what Jose and Eric are saying are like this all somewhat the same thing, because it's like last year we're like, just beat the fucking good teams for once, right? And then this year it's like, just beat the bad teams. What we want is just a record that reflects that, and the fact that we may be not in the play-in game, but we may be like a higher seeded team in the East right now, right? We just want to be, we want that consistency. We don't want the flip-floppiness season in and season out, right? Like we just want that consistency. So in a sense, you guys are kind of like saying the same thing, but just like, what the hell? Why aren't they beating the bad teams, right? Why aren't they? Because the record has to reflect what's going on. And it's like, well, if beating playoff teams were counted as 2 wins, we'd have a great record right now. I feel like we'd have a great record. But Jack, what are you seeing from the Bulls? Are you seeing anything else other than what we've been talking about for the Bulls?
Not a huge basketball guy, so I'll keep mine quick. But what I have seen just kind of throughout what the ML or NFL, NBA, Jesus, NBA officiating kind of has been. I feel like the Bulls have been hit the hardest by missed calls, and you kind of see the day later NBA Twitter saying, "Oh, Donovan Mitchell missed the travel on his game tying drive," or blah blah blah. And it seems like it's every night that somebody's kind of going against the Bulls' way. Other than that, like I said, not a huge basketball nut. So yeah,
I am glad you mentioned that though, because that's like what 4 games that could have gone in the Bulls' favor. 4 wins really that could have gone in the Bulls' favor. Tony, you're the basketball guy. What's going on with that?
The thing,
is that some bullshit?
No. Well, the thing is, like they've been playing better as of late. They're still inconsistent, but they're on a right trend in my book, because you're starting to see a lot more effort from your core guys like Vucevic, Levine, and DeMar DeRozan. Well, you're always getting it from DeMar. He's consistent. Yeah. But as far as Vucevic and Levine goes, and even the bench guys, like you're starting to see a lot more consistency on both ends of the floor. You know what I mean? And I feel like Zach LaVine is starting to attack a lot more. He's starting to make better decisions with the basketball, shooting better, in my opinion, because I feel like he was just jacking up threes just because he wanted to pat his stats. I feel like he's actually hearing some of the criticism from what it feels like, because you are seeing him turn the tide a little bit. Yeah, and that's starting to show. Just a little bit of that from Zach is starting to show from this team. So honestly, kudos to him and kudos to them on that front. But it's just the inconsistency part that's always going to be there. And right now, like they're competing against the Boston Celtics. So Boston Celtics are one of the best teams in the NBA, and they're competing with them. So it's like, even if they lose this game, you lose to a better team in my book. But if you're competitive and you carry that over into the playoffs or the play-in, whatever you end up doing, that's going to benefit in a way, right?
Yeah, and I mean, he had a great game the other day, right? 11 3-pointers made, 40, what was it, like 43 points or something like that in the game? Something like that. Like, is he starting? Is Zach starting to turn the corner actually here? Like, is he starting to, you said it in the chat the other day. He earned, or you or John, right? He earned his contract this game, something like that, right?
It was sarcasm. It was sarcasm. I think it was from John. It wasn't from me. It was definitely sarcasm.
Yeah.
But there's that sarcasm was there for a reason, because he had a good game, and you're starting to see that a lot more likely than you did.
It's like the real question is like, how long is this decent playing style from the Chicago Bulls lately is going to last? And I think that's the question mark that we all kind of give each other, because we have seen this team perform super underwhelming throughout the whole, for the first 30, 40 games of the season. Like, we're already almost at the halfway point of the season, and we're barely seeing what good, consistent basketball is from the Chicago Bulls of late. But we've seen, like, I know it's like, oh, it's in the past, just forget about it. But you can't, it's like recent history. If it was last year, I would understand. But it's recent history. It's this year to where we're going to see, like, is this really going to last? Or is this where everybody, like every NBA team at some point throughout the season hits a peak so high that that's the peak, and then it's just nothing but a downfall here? And that's what I am waiting for the Chicago Bulls. Like, are they going to sustain this success, or this is their ultimate peak to where the bottom falls out? And in a couple of weeks, we're talking about, well, what's the best trade package for DeMar or Zach or Vooch or something like that? Like, that's the one thing I'm just waiting on from here to the trade deadline.
I guess I'm just thinking like it's going to be the opposite of last year.
Yes,
because it's. I don't want to say it's trending towards that direction, but I mean, 8 out of the last 11 are wins. Zach is playing really well, kind of almost out of his mind, really, right? Like 11 3-pointers made, like that's insane.
Yeah.
They're still losing here and there with like some bad teams, but I feel like with the competition, with the fact that they know like kind of what's at stake here and how they've been playing against this team or that team, I feel like the mentality now is getting trending in the right direction. Not necessarily it's going to completely flip flop. They're going to win all these games. It's going to be a number 4 seed for the Bulls, a number 3 seed or something. But I feel like the mentality is like gradually moving towards that direction. Like we know how we have to play, and we're playing like it now. So let's just beat up on these bad teams.
And the confidence, and and what's missing, right, is, or what has been missing was confidence. But you're starting to see that a lot more now. Think about it. If I agree with Rick. I was going to say the exact same thing. I feel like maybe it's the complete opposite from last year, where the tides start to turn. They play a lot more consistently going forward. Like last year, it was consistent bad. This is consistent good.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you make a playing game, or even make the last or just the playoffs in general, you're going to go against the teams that you're going to have confidence. You're going to go against the teams that you pretty much beat up on the entire regular season. You know what I mean? So if there's ever a benefit of that, there's there. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, hey, like we beat these guys how many times throughout the regular season? We kind of know what we need to do here. We kind of know how we need to play. Now, that being said, the better players and the better teams show up for the playoffs. I get it. I get it. But you have something. But you have something to build off of. Okay, look, if you're going to talk about Justin Fields about winning one game to build off the next year, you can build off these. You can build off here with the Bulls in the same regular season when it comes to the postseason. Don't give me that say. Don't give me that.
But the difference is
no, there's no difference.
You play the same team a minimum 4 times, so they know how you're going to.
And you're beating them every single time. Come on now.
But it's not going to happen. Like you literally just said, the best players show up throughout the playoffs. And yes, and I'm gonna bring it back like I did last week. It's that Derrick Rose team, the teams that they beat throughout the regular season, the Miami Heat that had winning records throughout the regular season. Once they hit the playoffs, they lose 4 out of 6. So it's kind of like, okay, that's great and all that what you do in the regular season, but can you consistently do it every other night or every second day in the playoffs that you face the same team 4 times at a minimum? And look, the Bulls lost, what was it, like 14, 15 straight against the 76ers? Yeah. And they finally beat the 76ers the other day. But guess who they didn't have on that floor? Joel Embiid.
But that wasn't the first time they beat them this year.
And that's the first time that the Bulls have beat the 76ers. But if there's any, I mean, yeah, great, but Joel Embiid wasn't on the floor. And that's a difference maker right there. So just imagine him on a 4-game series against the Chicago Bulls. And how big of a difference is it? It's kudos. Yes, they played them great. They're playing throughout the regular season great. But can they do it 4 times in a 7-game span? I don't know. That's going to be difficult for the Chicago Bulls if they have been this inconsistent so far this year.
And I mean, that was the question too. Them last year in that series against the Bucks, right? Like, can they beat Giannis 4 times or 3 times, whatever it was? They beat him once, and I think that was the game that Chris Middleton went out.
That was game 2.
Yeah, it was game 2. Chris Middleton was out. They're like, oh man, watch out for the Bulls. They have a good opportunity here. No, man, Giannis, to what you guys were saying, these teams, these guys on these teams show the fuck up. They're like, yo, we're taking over the game. We're doing this, we're doing that. And you saw that, right? Like, yeah, like they were defending champs at that time. So they're gonna do that stuff. It's just, I think for us, we need to either it's got to be Zach or it's got to be DeMar. And that's the one that has to take over for us. But it just doesn't seem like Zach can be inconsistent, although he's had some really good games. Who could be that guy for us? If we're beating these good teams and we're beating these bad teams and our record's looking good and we're getting into the playoffs, do you guys feel confident? Let's say we go into the playoffs, no trades made. Let's just say that, right? Same team, whatever, they get into the playoffs. Is there anything? Is there anything there?
Well, look, Zach, you mentioned it. Zach has to be the guy because, as you notice, it's not a coincidence that he's stepping up and this team's starting to play better. You know what I mean? So with him, he could be the guy. He needs to be the guy to take over. He needs to be the guy he needs to be the star of this team, basically, because he's getting paid like one. We're treating him as one. Now he just has to show up like one in the court. So that just has to translate into the playoffs. I don't want to be that guy, and I'm not trying to be that guy. But if we do make the playoffs, hopefully we have a healthy Lonzo Ball, right? That would help a little bit. Maybe not a lot of bit, but a little bit. So, and I don't want to be that guy because we've all been that guy the entire of last year, and the beginning of this year. So it's like, but he does. Come on, we can't sit here and say he doesn't make this team better. You know what I mean? He does. So
Yeah, and that was what was said earlier. The offense runs
Lonzo.
through Lonzo. Yeah, God, I forgot his name. I was like Lamar.
LaMelo.
Eric, what are you gonna say?
No, I was gonna say. That could be wishful thinking, hopefully, and being really optimistic with Lonzo Ball coming back. But what kind of Lonzo Ball you're gonna get? It's a Lonzo Ball, after the surgery, after being gone for a whole entire year, after this and after that. When just last year he came in as pretty as healthy as he can be, and you're right, Lonzo does make this team better. But
Mhm.
is it significantly better to beat a Boston Celtics, to beat a Brooklyn Nets, to beat a Milwaukee Bucks in a 7-game series? Like, you got to beat this team 4 times. And again, like you said, the better players show up in the playoffs.
Mhm.
How much better does Lonzo Ball make the Chicago Bulls? Is it like this much better, or is it like this much better? You know what I mean? And if
Yeah,
it's this
yeah.
much better, then my quote of, hey, do better than last year. This is better than last year, right? That's just me.
It stands.
Winning an
It
extra game or
stands.
two in the playoffs is
Yeah,
better than last year, right?
it stands. Yeah.
This is exceeding expectations. I don't see the
Mhm.
Bulls doing this year so far, even with a healthy Lonzo Ball.
And we
I
got
just
sorry, go ahead.
I
Go
just
ahead.
I just need to see it consistently with and without Lonzo Ball. I just need to see it consistently,
Yeah.
and it's just hard for me to put in some stock in the Chicago Bulls as what I've normally seen so far for the rest of this this season.
But you are seeing it consistently. They're consistently bad
Dude,
without
that's a week
Lonzo.
compared to months.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Relax.
they're consistently bad without Lonzo. That's the
That's
consistency of your
true.
team.
Anything Jerry Reinsdorf owned, you just gotta take it with a grain of
Man, you know
salt.
what?
That's all I gotta
Again,
say.
you're right. Consistently for
Yeah.
the past week. I've seen it for the last 3.5 months. I need to
Yeah.
see it for more than just a week and a half. I need to
Yeah.
consistently see it for about 2 months before I start changing my mind.
Real quick, let's hit up the chat here. We got Jinja. Jinja, what's up, man? DeMar's better than Levine all around. He shoots like 75% from mid range. Love it. Love it. That's very true. But then he goes to say, but screw the Bulls for real. Pacers in this hoe, Rick.
Pacer
You
fan.
want to talk about a bad team, Jinja? I feel bad for you. The Pacers, man. The Pacers, they haven't been good since the Bulls had Rose.
A better
Yeah,
record.
I
They have
remember
a
that
better
team
record.
with Tyler
Yeah.
Hansborough and Danny Granger and Roy Hibbert and man,
PG-13.
the PG-13. That
Yeah.
team was that they were a team we love to hate, man.
They were. We hated them. Jack, you said they have a
We're
they have a
3.5
better record than the
games
Bulls.
behind these guys. What are we talking shit for? Like, what the fuck?
Hey, you ain't lying.
Oh, he said, Jesus said, we're the 6 seed right now, Rick. Watch that tongue. Oh man. Okay, we got some Pacers love in here. Anything else on the Bulls before we move on to the Hawks talk?
Nothing. That's it. I mean, let's see what transpires with the next couple months. We did say we're gonna give them to January to see what they're showing us. They're showing us something different than what they shown us.
Yeah.
At the
This
beginning
is true.
of the season. So let's give it some time now. I feel like they earned it. You know what I mean?
I normally give the Bulls a good analysis by my birthday. My birthday's on Sunday. It's not looking so good.
Oh, okay. They got what? They got about 6 days to prove you wrong. If they go on a 6-game win streak or however many games they got till Sunday.
They'll only play today, Wednesday, Friday, and then until Monday. So no, it's not going to be enough.
Eric's like, I don't really give a shit either way.
Georgia's running it up on TCU. This ain't even a game.
Wait, is the whole nation not watching the Bulls Celtics right now? Is there something else on?
No,
Yeah.
I'm watching
Yeah.
something else completely different today.
All right, let's move on to Hawks talk. Let's talk a little bit about the Blackhawks. Jack, take it away with Hawks talk. Has it gotten better, or is it just still completely depressing? I think you're on mute, Jack.
Yep, still the worst team in the league. So nothing changing on that one. Positive notes: they have won. They've been able to find what is called a streak in the sense of winning 2 games in a row. Versus
Wow.
Arizona on Friday on home ice 2-0, and then an exciting 4-3 game versus Calgary. Funny enough, 2-0 without Patrick Kane, 8 and like 25 with Kane. So a little funny little comment there in terms of what's going on. I do have a little Kane update as we'll get into it, but excitingly enough, last night, someone that did finally show up and show out, former first round pick Lucas Reichel finally was able to show up and put some points on the board, scoring his first NHL goal versus the Flames, and then also assisting on 2 for a 3-point night performance before Max Domi in the overtime period would cap off a pretty nice goal with a power move in front of the net and tucking it by the Calgary goaltender. Alex Stalock finally healthy.
I was going to say it was a nice goal by Reichel too. It was between the legs and everything. Like he got in there.
Yep. Reichel between his legs in front of the net. He was able to.
That was his first one, right?
Yep. First NHL goal for the guy, and exciting for the what is he? German, I believe. Yep, German native, the 20-year-old.
Oh no! With all the anti-Semitism talk in Chicago, I don't know if we want to get a German here.
The Germans they're letting it up a little bit in the NHL. I mean, Leon Draisaitl's a top scorer in German.
Facts.
Hey, look a little more enthused, Eric.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just reading. Trying to be smart by asking a question by reading some Blackhawks blogs. But
okay.
I'm being really focused right now. Okay,
give him credit. Give me credit.
Just checking, just making sure class is still in session, just so you're aware. But yeah, no, Alex Stalock returning from injury has been impressive. Last night he put up 44 saves for a .936 save percentage, leading this Blackhawks team to a victory over a much better Calgary Flames roster. So very excited to see that the Hawks are able to piece together 2 wins after watching the World Junior Championship throughout the last few weeks. And if you tuned into last week's episode of Slot Shot, you'll find out that Connor McDavid will be the first overall pick. There are more teams entering that conversation of tank mode, just besides the Blackhawks, Columbus, and Arizona. Connor Bedard.
Oh, okay. You said McDavid.
I was gonna say something, but I was like, he knows more hockey than I.
No, yeah.
Right.
Maybe not say something.
No, Connor McDavid, who pretty much just broke World Junior records. I believe that was last held by Peter Forsberg. But Bedard does look to be the for sure number 1 pick. Blackhawks in that conversation all as long, as well as Columbus and Arizona. So we'll see what happens for the Bedard stakes. It is a lottery pick, exactly like or a lottery system like the NBA. So no one's guaranteed anything on the first overall pick train. So we'll see what happens there. But in terms of the Patrick Kane update, we'll see what happens there. He has been missed the last 2 games, like I hinted at. It has been something of a little bit of a hip issue, apparently, that's been bothering him. Elliot Friedman with 32 Thoughts, a decent hockey podcast from some Sports Canada guys, did potentially throw the idea around of if this is a lingering issue and they need to shut him down for the year, to shut him down, re-sign him for 1 year and revisit this scenario in potentially a year. It has been a year that obviously Kane and the Blackhawks were hoping for more. I think he's only scored, he scored 7 goals for 20 assists, so 27 points so far in 37 games. Not the numbers you're used to from number 88 in the Blackhawks uniform, but we'll kind of see what happens there with the Kane rumors. Jonathan Toews, his production is kind of it's better than last year. He's negative 21 plus minus rating. So when he's out there for goals against, it's been a hell of a lot more than goals for. But when this team doesn't score, that's going to be the given for. Holy shit.
No.
Yeah, I think Reichel is the only guy that has a positive plus minus. No, and McCabe. Sorry.
I was about to say, oh my god,
out of 20, plus. Have positive plus minuses. That just says it all. There's tons and tons of problems. Lower body injury. Ginger. Interesting comment. But the Blackhawks suck. That's basically all there is to it. And we'll see what happens coming the offseason. Hopefully they can find their way to the lucky number 1 overall, as they did once with Patrick Kane. And in the year that he could potentially be gone, it'd be fitting that they would get the first overall as well. And that would be, something I don't know if a city's had. I was talking about it with a friend, but I mean, maybe Cleveland has, maybe some of these awful sports cities have, but 2 teams in the city in the same calendar year having the first overall pick could happen.
That would be great.
Could happen. Could happen.
It's a good research. Let me see if I can find that.
So, but similar to the draft too, like you have Connor Bedard, who's even if the Hawks end up number 2, there's still another guy. I don't know his name. You might know his name. Adam Vitili, something like that. That's still a pretty good guy.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, there's the top 4. There's a Russian forward by the name of Mishkov. He also looks to be exciting. There's about 4 guys that are going to go. So the Hawks are going to get someone that people will be excited about. I think people are really excited about this draft overall. Hence why you're seeing so many more teams, Philadelphia and others, kind of join the tank battles of trying to get that first overall lottery pick. But no, I mean, there's some good options without a doubt. Like I said, Vintelli, Mishkov. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's Russian, something like that.
What? So with the lottery, because it's just like how much.
McKinnon's been hurt for a bit,
got, right?
Ginger, by the way, but I think he's back now. I think he's been hurt, but I think he's back now. Colorado jumped out to a slow start. They are in Chicago on Thursday. Sorry.
No. But for the lottery for the Hawks, like you said, like they're tanking in a sense, but for the lottery, they just have a better chance if they have the worst record, right? Like they just have a better chance.
Yeah, I think it's, don't quote me on the percentages, but I think they get like a 13 or 12% chance at that first overall pick.
Okay.
I think it's ranked through the first through like worst to the, I think 15th worst, I think, or no. Yeah, I think 15 teams or whatever it is that don't make the playoffs. They're ranked into the lottery, I believe.
So just at least the top 3 would be great for the Hawks.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a pretty shocking lottery for the Hawks to fall outside the top 5 with the record that they have and the percentages. I mean, anything's possible. I'll knock on wood just for the boys and for them. But that would be a pretty shocking result.
All right, Eric, you were scouring the blogs.
Hey, you have a question, Eric?
You were getting concentrated.
Let's see.
What's the question for the Hawks talk?
Yeah, how good is this Connor Bedard guy?
Good, very good.
Great question.
Is he a full? We were talking about this also on Slotshot. Like I said earlier, this guy was breaking scoring numbers in the World Juniors, and the guy is going to be a superstar in this league for years to come. This would end up being more like a Kane type of a comparison in the sense where the guy can score ridiculous numbers, but really can't keep the puck out of the back of the net. I think that's what things are leaning towards. I mean, at a 5'9", I think at 5'9", he's not the biggest guy in the world, but the fact is when you're getting 12 to 13 to 14 to 15 shots a game, you're going to score. And for anyone out there, I mean, that is just fucking absurd number of shots per game.
Is Bedard American?
No, he's Canadian.
He's Canadian. Okay.
Yes.
I was like, even though outside of his shot, though, Jack, is there anything else that kind of wows? Why he's going to be the highly touted one coming out of the NHL draft?
I like that you're digging. I think his skill set in general as an offensive forward is going to be very good. I think he's got great hands. He's got good speed. Is it McDavid type speed? That's what people are kind of waiting to see what translate when he gets to that level. It's a guy that's going to be, the number 1 pick, will probably make whatever franchise's team out of spring training that, or not spring training, sorry, preseason in the NHL's sake. And you'll see it kind of right away. But I do think, his skill level will definitely translate to the NHL if his pace does as well. We could have the potential of a serious superstar on our hands. I still think we do have a superstar on our hands, but if it's a McDavid type level, or if it's someone that is, Kane level, which, like I said, still a huge superstar. Do I think he wins 3 Stanley Cups like Kane has? No, I think that's a really hard thing to do. But the fact is, I do think he could put up numbers that are similar to what Kane has done throughout his career.
And
Eric,
wouldn't it be
Eric-
wiser? Not wiser. I know I get Connor Bedard is the main guy too, right? But let's just honestly speaking, if the Hawks don't get it right, Fantilli,
Hmm?
isn't it something kind of like the Hawks need? Because the Hawks always been lacking in size for so many years.
He's a good option. I mean, like I said,
Mm.
you really can't complain about wherever you end up in these top three. Obviously, you want Bedard because you have the scoring options that he gives you. But you really can't miss with these top three picks. So that's what
Eric's so happy with himself with his questions that he's asking.
With Fantilli, I think there's expectation that he'll be at preseason. He'll be in discussion of trying to make a roster, and if he isn't, they'll send him back to Michigan because he is only 18 years old. So the fact is, they could just send him right back to play some more Big Ten college hockey.
Just when I'm into hockey and actually down and focus on it, I'm as smart as everybody but Jack.
Look, I'm surprised you're not into hockey as much as you should be, because it's almost similar to soccer, man. It's almost the same concept.
It's almost similar to indoor soccer professionally that I've seen with the Milwaukee Wave up top, bro.
It's fast. It's fast.
It's fast. I'll give you that. It's quick decision making left and right, but it's just kind of like.
But it's the same concept.
No, you're right. Same concept. I'm not gonna lie, but it's in indoor it's 7v7 instead of 5v5. But I mean, it is what it is. I'll turn it on when it's watchable.
And plus, I think as a Hawks organization, you want to go for that superstar guy. I don't think you really, with how bad they're playing, you don't necessarily want to fill a need as much as like get the best player available. Which in this case, with an number one overall pick would be Connor Bedard if he's being touted as the next McDavid or as good as Patrick Kane, in his prime. I think you go for that guy. I feel like in every sport in a draft, you go for the best player available if you're that high up there.
No, I don't think you're wrong. Sorry, I'm just tossing in my 4-star of the week. But no, I think with this team, it's no matter what happens, they're still quite a ways away. The quick nod I'll give to Seth Jones is he was named a undeservingly All-Star. I don't really understand why, but they gave it to him, so he'll be representing the Blackhawks at the All-Star game this year.
Hell yeah.
Seth Jones, who has had a better week of late, but still just not impressive, not playing to the numbers that they signed him to be here in Chicago. But no, a superstar like Bedard would absolutely help people be a bit more relaxed with the direction things are going. Otherwise, there are going to be a lot of angry people when Patrick Kane and Tays are gone. People aren't going to understand. And I'm not trying to bash on the people, and that's why we have these talk shows, because we try and educate and give our opinion. But some people are going to overlook the name and the reason of their departures and be like, what the fuck? So that's the reality of sports, and that's the reality that we live in. I understand it, and that's why we're here. But Kyle Davidson is doing what he has to do, and people from the outside have looked at this as a multi-year rebuild, and that's what it's going to be. And someone like Connor Bedard can accelerate that process, but it takes time. There's no question about that.
I mean, what did it take? 4 years with Tays and Kane when they came in the league? 2010, right? 2009, technically they're in the playoffs.
08, 09, they came into the league. 07, wait, what is it? 08, 09, they came into the league. They lost
to the Red Wings in 09.
They lost to the Red Wings in 09. They won. I think it took 3 years, 2 or 3 years.
Okay. So, hey, maybe 2-3 years though. That might be nice. Ginger here in the chat, real quick, Jack, before you got to go. I know you got to go, but Ginger saying my mom is from Michigan. How are the Red Wings this year?
Red Wings. Ginger, you're missing out on Slot Shot Podcast, brought to you by Star
I was about to say,
Alex,
he's got to go.
Our boy Alex, who was also on 3 Up 3 Down, now one of the co-hosts on Slot Shot. Huge Red Wings fan. He's excited about what the future holds. Few injuries have stalled things of late, but the future is bright with the Iser plan in Detroit. Might not be this year, but it will be. I think playoffs in the future for this Detroit franchise. But tune into the episode to the pod. You got a Red Wings fan on the pod.
That's true, Ginger. You should go check out Slot Shot, either
Yeah.
Spotify, Apple, whatever you want to check them out on. One more from Ginger. Is hockey up or down this year in terms of like nationally trending, like watching wise, things like that? Jack, what would you say? How would you answer this question? Because I feel like they're kind of stalled. I feel like they're in the same spot.
Oh, it's it's not going to be the numbers you're looking at when you look at the NFL and the NBA and potentially the MLB, but hockey is in an upward direction, I think, in terms of where fans are. Arizona taking a step back and going to a college barn, I think 4,900 and something seater. They're selling out every night, and the tickets are $90 a piece in the lower bowl for Arizona, that's decent money. But that's nowhere near to some of these teams that have 20, 18, 17, 15 on the small end, 1,000 capacities. So Arizona, that's a franchise that's future is a little bit in question, and we'll see where that lays and see if they're still in Arizona. But
are you reading the comment from Kyle?
I am just thinking if that cop high on.
I just think of that cop high on brownies that called the police on himself and asked the 911 operator, "What's the score of the Red Wings?"
That's funny. But no, I think the fact is Buffalo has been an exciting team. Tage Thompson out of Buffalo this year, another actual product who was born in Arizona. So you're seeing Austin Matthews and Tage Thompson now, two Arizona products, come into this league and be very successful. The big name teams are big. Boston has been a powerhouse wagon, as I'm sure you've heard from Ross in a ton of capacity, unfortunately. But no, I think the league's trending in a slow upward direction always. At this point, I think it was a successful Winter Classic. It was a 2-1 game, and they are heading towards another fun playoffs with the teams in the mix up a little bit. I mean, Colorado, not as strong as people would have thought. Injuries have gotten in their way. So we'll see what they're able to kind of mix up here at come playoff time. Still going to be a deadly team. Tampa, a wagon as always. Boston, like I said, they've only lost like 4 or 5 times in regulation. So some pretty impressive stuff from some teams all around the league. Jinja, your Detroit team started out hot. They kind of come back to earth. New Jersey coming out hot. So there's some teams out there they're turning heads.
Yeah, there you go. Jinja. That was just a small preview of what all the great info you could get on Slot Shot Hockey Podcast, by the way. So go check that out.
Be tuning in.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Was anything else on Hawks talk before you get out of here, Jack?
Eric, I appreciate you with the tough question. Jose, hope football. I'm gonna have to take Eric's side on this. I kind of feel like the Tony basketball is bullshit, but we'll take that debate in for another day.
That's not even a debate, bro. You're right. You're spot on. There's no debate whatsoever.
Before right now, I'm being serious. Before I was called Tony football, I was called Tony basketball. Now if it was called myself,
bro, stop. Where's John? I got receipt. He gets his information from a guy that I'm not even going to quote right now, but that's where he gets all his basketball information.
No. So we had a guy in our show way back when, and I wanted to promote him. So that look, I get a lot of my basketball information from him, which
and that's
true.
it. That's it. Just stop.
But I wanted to promote him because we had him on our show, and now they won't leave me alone.
I gotta see this. I gotta see this.
See, all my basketball information comes up here, homie, straight from the dome.
Which is why it's bullshit.
Not really. Nah, never that, homie. Never that. Shit. By the way, go Ice Hogs, right, Jack?
Go Hogs. No Chicago Wolves.
Sure. Go Rockford. Wolves are looking. Hey, Wolves won the whole thing for the AHL last year. And actually, a buddy I grew up with just got moved to the Wolves. So, nice. AHL is always interesting. We're going to try and get some Slot Shot entertainment on $3 beer night, potentially at the All-State for a Wolves game. If anyone from the Star 6 family wants to join the guys, we might make a little content from that. Otherwise, we'll see if we can catch this. I'm trying to put something into the works for this Sabres Hawks game coming up next week. So we'll see, but tune into the pod. Appreciate the shout out, Rick, from there. Jinja, appreciate the comments. Kyle, always fun. And I've been loving the Only Football content between the two of you guys. Love the new brand of of GACA Sports. Sorry, I've missed the last few Big League Chicago's and missed you guys, and
All
hope
good,
all
man.
as well. And I'll talk soon.
All
Just
right,
know I
Jack.
prefer you over
Appreciate it.
Jose any day.
The love is real. The
Love is real. Love is felt. Love is felt. Love is felt.
All right,
So,
see you,
all
Jack.
right, see you guys.
All right, that was Jack and Hawks talk. Let's move on now to some of the biggest news in Chicago over the last couple days. Let's move on to Bears Breakdown. Bears Breakdown, obviously brought to you by Star 6 Media. Thank you for joining us here on Big League Chicago with myself, Eric, and Tony Football / basketball.
That's right.
So let's start with the Bears. They lost their season finale game to the Vikings, which, I mean, duh, right? Like, there's really no, I don't think anybody expected them to win by any means. So they lost 29-13, especially when you're starting, Nathan Peterman and Tyler Boyle or some shit like that. Whatever. Who cares? When you start those two guys, you know it's going to be an L. And even at some points, like Nathan Peterman was out, and I was like, oh, man, is he just playing that good? It seemed like he was actually playing pretty decent. I was like, does Eberflus just want him out for Tyler Boyd? I was like, oh, no, they said they're going to do this. They want everybody with snaps. Whatever. They lost the game to the Vikings. Pretty bad game. Eric, what were your thoughts on this game? I know during the chat, you were like, this is probably the most disinterested I've been in a Bears game in a really long time.
The only thing that kept me interested in that game is that I was in a championship game that I had Dalvin Cook in it, and then once he fumbled that ball, my hopes and dreams of watching the game went straight up over. All right. After that, I mean, what else was there to watch other than the, you know what? I'm just gonna keep that for a Wednesday show. What I'm about to say, but there was really nothing else to watch, honestly, other than watching the Bears lose and see if they do lose, and they did lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we saw David Montgomery's last game as Chicago Bear.
Yeah.
There is going to be a lot of turnover for this team next year, and the Bears traded what looks like a number 1 draft pick for Chase Claypool. That's not looking pretty good. I mean, other than that, there was nothing interesting in the Bears game at all. At all.
Yeah.
At all.
The only thing I will say was I feel like I saw Claypool catch more footballs than I have the entire weeks before week 18 after they had acquired him. I feel like he caught 4 passes, whatever it was. And I got the stats right here. Chase Claypool, okay, 2 receptions. But that's saying something.
Only 2.
Yeah. Then
so
maybe
hard.
he got more looks than I've seen in the last few weeks. And
one
and
of the interception was thrown towards him, wasn't it? I believe.
Yeah, it was. I now remember that. Yeah. So I get it. Like, it still looks like it was a bad pickup, but he was a little bit more involved with Nathan Peterman. Tony Football, what'd you think of the game?
It's not the first time. Last time Jeff Fields was out and Peterman was playing, you saw more of Claypool even then. So there's the question, like, what's the chemistry look like between him and Justin Fields? But how can Justin Fields have chemistry with pretty much anybody on that team when he's not given really time to throw? He's scrambling, running for his life and running for that record, right? But I agree with Eric. There really wasn't much interest into the game other than, are we going to get the number 1 pick? And or on the radio side, because it was the last broadcast game for WBBM, it was like, for at least from my standpoint, it was a lot more emotional, like interesting that way, because being there, working there, everybody was really, really emotional about it. But other than that, it really wasn't like it was. I was on my phone watching more of the red zone, paying attention to the, seeing what's going on there, because there was other games with better implications. You know what I mean? So it's like, but I mean, I'm sure you'll get to it, but I mean, hey, job's done. I said, another L.
Right.
I wanted the loss, and this is the reason why. How many people are excited? How many people are excited for this number 1 pick? This is the reason why I wanted them to lose week in and week out. That win that you guys wanted so badly against Green Bay would have done us nothing but this number 2 pick.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So you're right. You're right.
Exactly what I wanted. I got it. I'm happy.
In hindsight, Tony Football proved why his name is Tony Football.
Exactly.
Because he wanted the loss, Eric.
Exactly. I mean, Eric, Here, Carrick can say all he wants, but he knows damn well I was right in this standpoint. I was right in this standpoint.
And that's what was like. I think because Kyle and I were streaming Sunday for Week 18, and I was on the stream watching. I had Red Zone for Houston, and they went for 2. They wanted the win, and I feel like
crazy.
Lovey in his post game interview. By the way, thanks, Lovey, appreciate you, bro. He was like, "We play this game to win." And he fucking won that game. He didn't give a shit what happened. He's like, first overall pick. Yeah, I don't care. We're going for the win. And they won 32-31 against the Colts. All they had to do was lose, right? All they had to do was lose.
Cost him his job, though.
It did. And
I don't care what anybody says. They fired him for that reason. And that's fucked up. But they fired him for that reason.
Yeah, I think so too. It really is fucked up because you got a coach there that actually cares about the game. I mean, he hasn't been good since really the last season with the Bears as far as coaching a team. But, I mean, he cares about winning. He cares about the team. He cares about his job. And they were just like, yeah, no, bro, you lost us the number 1 pick. You can get out of here. Because now the Bears have it. And even though the Houston Texans are number 2, you still don't know what do they want CJ Stroud? Oh, well, do the Bears know they want CJ Stroud? Well, we might draft CJ Stroud. What will you give us? Right? So now the focus goes from the game to the pick.
Yeah.
What are we thinking about the pick, boys?
Oof. Well, the Bears are on the clock right now.
Yep.
They're definitely on the clock. And I think we'll give some trade scenarios throughout the week, right, with other teams. But I think the question is, what do they do, right? Obviously, I don't see them using the number 1 pick to draft somebody. I really don't. There's more value in trading it, right? Again, like if you're the Indianapolis Colts, this couldn't have worked better for you because now you get to leapfrog that very team that you lost to.
Yeah.
To get that number 1 pick because you desperately need a quarterback. I don't care what anybody says. Matt Ryan is not it. He's not going to be that guy.
No.
Since Andrew Luck, that you have not had a quarterback, a legit quarterback, and they need one bad. So and there's plenty of other teams because you don't know what Tom Brady's future looks like in Tampa Bay. You don't know what Detroit is thinking with Jared Goff. You don't know what Tennessee's thinking with those 2 quarterbacks. I mean, they started Dobbs. Come on, there's so much going on in the NFL. Yeah. You don't know what is going on. There's so many teams that actually need a quarterback. So if you're the Bears, you have to trade. I feel like there's more value. You can get so much. And in my opinion, if you can get a minimum 2 first rounds. First rounders, whether it's a team that has 2 first rounders this year or or one that will be able to give it to you one next year, regardless of the fact that's the minimum, right? As far as draft picks as I want 2 first rounders, maybe a second rounder, and some good players. If you're Ryan Poles, you earn your money this next offseason. You earn your money this offseason coming up. It's time to put up and shut up. You've been put in this position. You're literally given everything that you can ask for as a GM. And you have to literally show up and show out.
Yeah, and one of those teams you mentioned the Colts. I don't think they have 2 picks. I'm not entirely sure if that's correct, but I don't think they have 2 picks.
No.
I think
they have a 4th pick though, don't they? Aren't they at number 4?
Yeah, because it goes Bears, Texans, Cardinals, and then Colts.
Yeah.
But you look at the Lions. The Lions have 2 picks. One of them coming from the Rams.
Yeah, the 6th and 18th pick.
So do they fully believe in Jared Goff, or do they fully believe in him enough to draft a quarterback at number 1, give up the other 2 picks to the Bears and have him, sit under Jared Goff for a year and then have another, have a franchise quarterback for Detroit?
Seattle also has 2 picks though, Rick.
That's right.
And remember, Geno Smith is a free agent after this year.
Yep.
So
Geno Smith definitely riding back after this postseason, after making the
free
postseason.
Agent. So I mean, you have options, man.
Eric, what are you thinking about for this number 1 overall pick for the Bears?
I just hope they just don't mess it up. To be honest with you,
that's what the sign says back there too.
I mean, just don't mess it up. That's basically it. And I'm always that guy, right? And you guys know. What's the one thing I always look for?
To be better than next year.
Well, that's one thing, but there's another thing I always ask for, and that's chaos. I always look for chaos, right? So what's the most chaotic thing that's out there for the Chicago Bears can do?
Another quarterback, and I don't want to hear that argument. There's no way.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
There's
Pick
no
someone
way.
up and trade Fields for another haul.
There's no way.
I mean,
I would renounce my fandom as a Bears fan. They do
you
that.
already did. You already have like
No, I have
other
not.
teams.
No, I have
The
not.
Bears are like the bottom
No,
of the
I
barrel
have
team.
not.
I'm hearing that a lot though too.
I just look at other teams like, you know what I mean, like when you're like, you know, when you see something like, I'm just looking at the teams like they look pretty good over there. But I'm not. I'm still a Bears fan through and through. But if they would do that, I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm
I don't
done.
believe that.
I'm
I
done,
don't
Eric.
believe that whatsoever. No,
What's the most chaos?
It just if you really take like 2, 3, 4, 5 steps back and actually look at the bigger pictures, like who do the Bears have to offer the most? And obviously that's Justin Fields, right? And obviously, yes, he's your best player on this team and probably the only best player that the Bears got on this team anyways. But it's like if you really want this to actually be Ryan Pose's team, you do something chaotic where, hey, Houston, guess what? We have Justin Fields for you available. Give us your second round pick. Give us your second pick overall with the second round this year and a first round next year. And then you get your quarterback and your defensive player that you desperately need. Well, not quarterback, but you get your quarterback if you do decide to trade Justin Fields. You get your defensive player what you need. And you also get double picks in the second round. And on top of that, you get next year's first round pick on a Houston Texans team. Let's be completely honest. Maybe back in the same situation next year. Right?
Yeah, but there's one bad thing
you may
about
get
that,
more
Eric.
picks for Justin Fields after that. But at the same time,
you don't do it because you don't know about the other quarterback. Come on.
Exactly. And then you at least know what you have in Justin Fields.
Yeah.
But the thing is that this team has and needs has so many holes to fill on both sides of the ball. It's just like with your first overall pick this year, right? Obviously, if you trade back, you might get another second round. But the Bears go from having the first round pick and won't pick again until what is it? 50. There's going to be a gap in between so much from when they first pick to the second pick.
No, I thought they gave up the Claypool pick, which was basically what, a 32nd overall.
32nd pick, which is technically basically another late first round pick.
Yeah, but don't they have like 39 or 41 or something like that?
They have like in the mid 40s. I have to really look at it.
Okay.
Still, but I get what Eric's talking about. It's still big. It's still a pretty big gap. So that's why I look at teams like the Lions and the Seahawks who have 2 first round picks this year, and they both may need a quarterback. Maybe you look at them like, hey, look, give me your 2 first round picks this year, and I'll give you the number 1 pick. I mean, you have to do that. I don't think you get a quarterback here, man. Because I get what you're saying. There's so many holes to fill, but there's no bigger hole to fill than a quarterback position when you know you don't have one. We know we have one in Justin Fields. You just gotta surround him with pieces.
And especially given the fact that the Bears haven't had a quarterback since fucking the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Since 85, 86.
Not even that. He wasn't even that. He wasn't even a quarterback.
Yeah, exactly. But a Super Bowl. I just don't even. Yeah, a quarterback in general. We haven't had a quarterback in general in a really long time.
No,
like Jay Cutler was the best quarterback we've had.
Look,
no, don't get me wrong. Cuddy's time with the Bears was pretty damn good because the offense was great. Honestly, great compared to this.
Cutler was never. When we talk about a quarterback, though, we talk about Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. We talk about Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. We talk about those type of quarterbacks. I don't want second tier quarterbacks anymore, guys. I'm tired of it.
Come on, man. The Bears. Jay Cutler has the records for the Bears for a reason. There's a reason why
nothing with Jay Cutler. We did nothing with Jay Cutler. We could not get past.
It doesn't.
We couldn't. I'm done. No, Eric. It does matter. It does matter because how many years did we go against a real quarterback in Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers? That's what we need.
I get that, but it's. I mean, we only went to one NFC title game with Jay Cutler. That's pretty much it.
And who we lose to?
All right. But there's a reason why Jay Cutler's names in the record books for the Bears are that high up, because honestly, that's probably been the most consistent quarterback the Bears have gotten, even though the records did.
Okay, but that says more about the Bears' choice in quarterbacks than it does Jay Cutler. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Still the best. He's still the best quarterback statistically wise for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah,
but that says more about the Bears, Eric. Put him in any other organization, it might not be that good.
Again, that's probably the best closest that we got to a good quarterback for the Chicago Bears.
Which is why Justin Fields has to be even greater than that.
And
Otherwise,
it's not going to be that much.
It has to be.
That was my point, and that was my point too. Like Tony Football was saying, we've got the quarterback we need. There's a ton of other holes to fill, like you said, Eric. But I think the number one is that we have a quarterback now. We got a guy who really wants to win, who comes from a winning culture in Ohio State, and has proven that he can run the ball if he needs to. It's not necessarily something we want in our quarterback, but again, like another year under Eberflus, another year under Getsy, right? Like another year with this team and some players around him. I think it's looking like it's going to be the better call to keep Justin Fields. And I know you want chaos. I know you want it. But I think the better call is to keep Fields. He's going to go into his third year, 24 years old, something like that. Young, experience in the NFL.
Yeah. We
just got to fill those holes like over the next 4 years, I would say, until we're like pretty much up there. Like, if everything works out well with Fields, we'll be pretty damn elite if we get the holes filled.
I don't even think it takes that long. You should be able to get a lot done this offseason with the picks,
with the
cap space you have.
Yeah,
you should be able to get a lot done. Your team should improve immensely from this year to next year. So I would say 2 years. I'd say this year.
I was being conservative.
I'm serious. All you got to do is really surround Fields with what he needs as far as an offensive line and wide receivers, or just receivers in general, and then work, fill those holes in the defensive end, because it seems like you have good pieces. Remember how many guys were out with injury this year. So I think
traded away Roquan, all these guys.
I don't think we're that far away, guys.
I would definitely agree with 2 years. I was just giving 4 years because, as a Bears fan, I definitely don't try to get my hopes up. So that's why I was like 4 years for sure.
You're right. That is toxic.
So we are in desperate need of a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let me just tell you what's out there for the wide receiver market.
Right? DJ Shark is what I want. It's the only person I want from that list you're about to say.
DJ Chark is one. Alan Lazard's another. Nelson Aguilar is another. Juju Smith-Schuster maybe is another one too as well up in there. But that's pretty much it. Unless if Sammy Watkins becomes something else, depending what T. Higgins, if he decides to get out of Cincinnati, which I highly doubt, but if he really wants to be that number one guy, okay, cool, right?
Sorry, who did you say after Chark?
Chark was
he said Lazard, he said Aguilar,
and Smith.
And Nelson Aguilar.
Man, the free agency for wide receivers is not that deep.
Right, and maybe DJ Moore may be out there, depending what the Panthers might do. Who knows?
That's why it's imperative that whatever team that wants that number one pick, there has to be a wide receiver in that mix. Maybe a number one that they have. Mm-hmm. I guess I could bring this up. I had somebody who just came upon our show recently, who was very, they're very pleased. Like, man, I like your guys' show. It's really cool. But everything. We have a fan, right?
Oh
basically, yeah. He DM'd me asking me to bring this up to you guys as a trade scenario with the Bucks. He's like, what if Tom Brady, because I guess there's in question if he's even going to be there, right? What if he leaves and goes, let's say, for example, Las Vegas, right? Will the Bucks maybe want the number one pick? You take someone like Mike Evans, you take a defensive end or someone from the defense that they have over there. They have plenty of good ones, and maybe some picks. Would you guys? Is that something you're willing to do?
No.
Is Mike Evans the number one wide receiver that you would want here in Chicago?
I mean, is Mike Evans the number one wide receiver? For sure. Mike Evans, is he a top 10 wide receiver? Possibly. You can argue that for sure. I just don't see a guy who is already hitting in his mid-30s, up there in age, already taken a few hits, for
Mhm.
for him to be a number one wide receiver. In that case, I'd rather do the Raiders part and take Devontae Adams. I'd rather
Yeah.
do that over Mike Evans any day of the league. But no, not that trade. No,
Same.
hell no. I'll stay away.
Yeah, I'd much rather have Devontae Adams just with like the production he's had consistently. What is he, like a 4-time Pro Bowler, 5-time Pro Bowler, something like that? And even with like a pretty inconsistent Derek Carr and a Raiders team, he was putting up stupid numbers. Like we didn't really see Evans break out until the last game with the Bucks, where he put up like something like 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, something like that. He's pretty consistent, but I feel like Devontae Adams is just levels above Evans. Like if we're talking, we want a number one, I think we get Devontae Adams over Mike Evans. The Bucks will probably want the number 1 pick, and they probably have a later first round. I'd want something that not only gives me a wide receiver, but can also get me one of those top tier defensive guys from college.
No, yeah, definitely. I think that's the way. That's probably the best way to go. I think the only, unless if it's Chris Godwin,
Yeah.
maybe I'll give that one a shot. But Mike Evans, nah, he doesn't do it for me. Great receiver, I'll give him that. Just doesn't cut it for me.
Yeah, I think Jose froze a little bit here. Remove him real
all,
quick.
It's all good. I mean, even I'm just looking at the upcoming, wide receiver. I mean, defensive and stuff like that, man. And it's just like this free agency class, man. It's super thin, and in like the age group, it's up there, crazy, man. Like I'm talking about guys already in their late 20s, pushing 30s, and it's kind of like it just. Where do you invest your money in? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you could go. I mean the top. I mean the top free agent for next year is Deion Jones, the linebacker from Cleveland. After that is Marcus Peters, but they both are going to be Jones is going to be 29, and Peters is going to be 30. Other than that, you got Fletcher Cox who's 32, Robert Quinn who's 32. You have I hit the wrong button. I mean, Graham, who's 34. The next youngest one who has a significant role in the defensive end is Jadeveon Clowney at 29, who's going to be 30.
Yeah. This is, and I think the Bears are kind of looking at that, right? I feel like everyone in the NFL is looking at that. Like, man, maybe the Bears do really need to get a top 5 pick in order to get a Will Anderson or the guy from Georgia, whoever it is, right?
Yeah, Will Carter.
Carter, yeah, like any of these guys, like they really need to get this really young, talented guy that hopefully turns out to be close to like an Aiden Hutchinson, right? Like his first year, he was really, really good with Detroit. So someone like that,
I don't think either or will have like an Aiden Hutchinson type of impact. I mean, he'll have an impact. Don't get me wrong. He'll have an impact on this team one way or another. Not Aiden Hutchinson. That kid is something. That kid is unbelievable.
He really.
But that's why a team like the Seahawks to me makes sense, because you stay in the first round. These high pick, you'll get 2 picks in the first round. Maybe you can even get someone like DK Metcalf along with that. You know what I mean? Like or the Lions, like whatever the case is. But you want to stay with multiple picks in this year's first round. You need to get some haul back this year. Right, and from both picks wise and talent wise, which is why Detroit, Seattle makes sense.
I think Seattle makes more sense than Detroit, simply because you don't want to give the best player to a team that's in your division. You know what I mean? And I get it. They have multiple picks. You could lay out the multiple picks aspects to me, and that's fine, and that's dandy. But just remember that you faced the Lions twice in 1 year, and then on top of that, they played better than you this year. So if you're giving them a top talent, you're only hurting yourself just to have multiple picks throughout the year.
But again, not if you feel like he's not a top talent. The guy, wherever everyone's vying to get. You know what I mean? Regardless of the fact, the Bears I feel like are in the best spot to have pick, the best year to have them one pick, because there's so many teams that have holes in that quarterback position. You know what I mean? Like, if you look about a year or 2 years ago, there wasn't that many teams who needed a quarterback. Now it seems like there's a vast majority of them. So,
there's a good handful.
Yeah, a really good handful. So like you have options, man. It's a really good year to have that problem.
real quick. Just going to hit the chat here. We got Robert joining us on the stream. Robert, what's up? Just got here. What have I missed? So we're going over the Bears getting the first overall pick and just some trade scenarios that we're looking at, whether they should keep the first round pick, the first overall pick, or trade it. I think the general feeling and is trade the pick for more picks and for a wide receiver or something, an impactful player. What are the chances that they do that though? Do you think Poles does it? He's pretty much leaning towards that side, Eric?
I mean, I think that's just the general, right? I think that's what everybody's expecting because, I mean, unless if they decide just like, all right, we're gonna stay put and just draft Will Anderson or Carter from Georgia, who's playing right now, and then that's pretty much it. Everything else just kind of stays put, like where does everybody go? Are the teams? And I feel like this is are the Texans going to be desperate enough to throw that many amount of draft picks just to move up one spot? Or Indianapolis, we won't know until then. And even then, so like, what's the haul? You're right. You stay within the first 4 picks. You still get your defensive player, plus you get, you get multiple picks for not for only this year, for next year. Okay, great. But I mean, at the same time, it's kind of like everybody knows that the Bears are going to be open for business for that trade.
Oh yeah,
and everybody's going to do it. And like Jose said, whether for Seattle Seahawks, who were picking what was it, 5th, and at the moment 20th.
Okay.
It just, you're still in that same ballpark. But what else are you going to get it? I mean, if you're going to get, like Jose said, if you're going to get DK Metcalf, you're not probably going to get that 5th round pick. You may possibly, but you're not probably going to get the second one that they're going to have in the later in their round, simply because they're losing DK Metcalf. And then whatever haul that they're going to get back to him, that's probably not even going to be draft picks for this year. It'll probably be for next year. Because they know that the Bears are going to be being greedy and they're going to get the best offer. But it's just like, I mean, they're going to be teams that are going to be lowballing the Bears and see what they can work with, simply because they know the Bears are going to be greedy enough for that number 1 pick. Hell, like I said, cause chaos, trade Justin Fields, and then the party will begin.
I think the chaos is going to be those days leading up to it. And I agree. I think the general feeling is like, trade it. Absolutely trade the pick away. You don't necessarily need that first overall pick. You can get players, not, guys that are ready now to play on your team versus I guess taking a chance on someone, but you also want to keep a pick inside the top 5, inside the top 10 at minimum, if not get that and one later on in that round. But Tony Football, I was just asking, the general feeling seems to be trade the pick. Do you agree? Was that what's going to happen on draft day?
Yeah, you have to. I mean, there's no, I don't see a reason why you draft anybody at that position. I feel like if it's not one of the quarterbacks, you're drafting too high in my book for anybody else. You know what I mean? So it's like, it makes sense to draft within that range, as Eric was saying. Trade away to whoever has the best trade value. It makes sense because we know all the holes that need to be filled in this team. We know all the talent that needs to be acquired. So just get as much value as possible so you can make that happen.
And Robert's actually got a pretty interesting. I didn't even think about this, but he's saying trade into the top 4 and then trade again from the top 4, from the 4 to the top 10, and still get a top 10 pick, double trade. Who knows? You might get some good players with a double trade like that.
Why not?
Get a good return.
Yeah. Why not? You know what I mean?
I mean, if they're going to get players of value coming back, I mean, that's probably the wise way to go, right? Because you're only improving your team that way, depending on what players you get in return. Plus, you're getting multiple picks in this year and next year's draft, or in 2 years, whatever the case may be, and you're still getting the top 10 pick. So, I mean, there's many different ways that the Bears can finagle this and get and improve this team. Like, if you want the 2-3 years of a difference from one year to another for the Chicago Bears, but it's just, I don't know, man. I just don't screw it up. That's all I care. Either exactly. if you don't screw it up, and if you stay loyal and you stay pack at number 1, then hell, you know what? Then cause chaos and trade Justin Fields at number 2 and and then you get your back-to-back thing, and I just
Jose wants to kill
it's
you.
whatever.
Tony Football wants to kill you with a football, I think. All right. So we got into the number 1 overall draft pick. Let's get into the Bears season overall. Just kind of real quick, maybe like 10 minutes. 14 to end the season on a 10-game losing streak. John called it last episode. It's going to be 10 games, right? It's a 10-game losing streak. In a sense, disappointing, but also number 1 overall draft pick. Set themselves up for a very, very good offseason with the cap, with the draft picks, all this stuff. I really don't know how to define it, but I mean, just season overall. Tony Football, what do you think?
I love it. This is the best I could have asked for, to be honest. It's just there's no better scenario than this, other than obviously being a competitive team and making the playoffs or whatever. This is, I knew, me and John came in knowing this team was going to win the most 4 games. They didn't make it to 4. This team wasn't going to be competitive, so I wanted to see what I wanted this team to lose every single game so we could have number 1 pick. Mission accomplished. Looking back on this season, it was a great season. And the biggest out of everything I just said was the fact that Justin Fields asserted himself into what I think is a franchise quarterback for this organization. So that's 3 wins right there. That's 2 wins. You got the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
You have the most cap space going into this offseason, and you solidified the most important position in sports, the quarterback position. And that's something that the Bears were never able to say in my book. So to me, this was a beautiful season, an underrated season, and one I'm going to definitely look back on after we win a championship in a couple of years. I'm gonna be like, you guys remember that season, that 2022 season? That made this happen.
That's gonna be on the championship DVD right there. That just this entire season is gonna be on there.
Exactly.
And it's so funny. You said you and John had him at like barely 4 wins. Me and Eric had him at like 10 plus wins in the playoffs as a wild card. Like it's so funny how like just back and forth we had it. Eric, what do you got as a season review for the Bears 2022?
I mean, the most important position in sports is the central midfielder on any soccer team, and the best sport in the whole entire world. But I digress from that conversation.
There's no
you know
way.
what? It is what it is. I guess you can say, like, if you want to get successful, or if you really want to build this team in the eyes of Ryan Poles, and then for sure, yeah, you build it to the studs. I mean, you build it like on my basement is nothing but studs up and no drywall. The drywall is coming with the players. In this upcoming season. That's if you do business right.
Yeah.
And right now we have seen that Ryan Poles haven't done business right? You traded away Chase Claypool for what potentially is a early or a late first round pick, right? You traded away what is your heart and soul of your defense in Roquan Smith for a second round pick that you're not going to see into the middle round. You got cap value back from trading away Khalil Mack and also Robert Quinn. All right, cool. And your first offseason, you wanted to build this team, but you needed help and support for Justin Fields. You didn't do that. Now the microscope and it's going to be magnified a lot under Ryan Poles, because if you don't get this kid right, or if you don't fix this kid's current situation right now, then you basically just let this kid die on the field. Not necessarily, right? I think that's a bad analogy for what happened from last week, but you just let this kid down for sure. For the last 2 years. You've seen what he's done. You know how important he is. He has solidified himself, as Jose said, as a franchise quarterback. And I do agree. You put the right pieces around him, I think this kid is going to be really, really great. But does Poles have confidence in him like the way that we do as fans? And that's the $1 million question. And that's going to be the next question for the next couple of weeks, because, I mean, he really didn't say that Justin Fields is the guy for the Chicago Bears. And
that's true.
But he can't. He can't. Not knowing what he knows now, he really can't, because if anything, he has to put up a whole bunch of smoke and mirrors to see what exactly he can get value from that number 1 pick.
Oh, that's a good.
I get that part, Jose, for real. I really, really do. But also at the same time, I mean, you can't really say this is the guy that's going to carry us into the future. You could have just said a little bit more positive things about Justin Fields, though.
But he has. Look, I've heard it personally through Joniak's journal that plays right before every Bears game. he has an interview and talks with Ryan Poles, and Ryan Poles has said that Justin Fields is the future. He has said it. It's just, right now you can tell he's also being very vague, as NFL personnel guys always are. They have to be very vague. Now you're definitely not going to hear it. He's going to be a lot more suspicious, or a lot more vague, or you know what I mean, like because he can't show his cards. He can't show his hand as far as what he's going to do with his number one pick. You're gonna try to trick teams into thinking maybe he is going to trade Justin Fields. Maybe he is going to draft another quarterback, right? Because you need these teams to give him the most possible. So I mean, we'll see, right? But I truly believe that he likes this kid. I truly believe he believes in this kid. But Eric brought up a really good point that nobody talked about. Can Poles really get this done? Because he has shown us, as Eric pointed out, Eric made a really great point. He has shown us that he's been making a lot of rookie mistakes in his first year as general manager, and that cannot carry over in what's going to be the most important offseason this organization is going to have in a very, very long time.
I kept hearing new era. That's what I kept hearing for the last couple of days, the last 24 hours. A new era for Chicago Bears football. Well, I mean, the last time the Bears drafted, in my recent memory history, that the last time the Bears drafted within the first 3 picks, they blew that one up. They screwed that one up pretty bad, right? And I get it. Different Ryan, different Matt, or different Ryan. Different Ryan. But again, this Ryan has shown me that his business negotiation about players hasn't really been a good one. And he has a lot to work with in order for us to see him as a guy like, all right, this guy built this team the right way.
So I guess that's kind of where I'll start it off too, right? Like, yeah, the trades so far, Claypool, have not been good. Obviously the in-season stuff, getting rid of Roquan, have not been good. It's not a good look. So given that, I feel like who he's drafted, it shows more of what he's good at, is drafting talent. You got Jaquan Brisker, you got Kyler Gordon, you got Velus Jones here towards the end, fielding kickoffs, doing really well there. And I think Khalil Herbert as well. No, or did he come with Pace?
No, he came with Pace.
Okay.
Pace, I believe.
Okay. So these guys in their first years have shown promise. Is like, oh man, these are some talented rookies.
Jack
Sanborn. He brought him in, undrafted guy, right? He brought him in. So I think that maybe that shows a little bit more of what his strengths are, is like drafting, being able to evaluate talent and being like, yeah, this guy probably will be a good NFLer. So now that kind of leads into, will he actually trade the pick, or should he evaluate the talent, get the best player available, which might be a quarterback, might be the defensive end, might be a defensive guy, right? We'll see. So, I think that might be a good question to ask there. Eric, you're laughing. What are you laughing at?
So I'm actually looking at the full order of the draft. The Bears pick number 1. Their next pick is not until number 56 in the second round.
That's why. Yeah, you got to get value in that, and you have to get value in these first 2 rounds. You have to. You got to get multiple picks, and if not value as far as personnel, like wide receivers, whatever that other team is offering, you have to, man, have to.
Yeah. And I would say, based, on this season, for me, at least what I've seen, this season, I was a guy who had the Bears 11 wins, I think 10 wins.
I think I was right up there with you at the amount of wins too.
Yeah. And obviously it was disappointing. Eric and I wanted a win here just to be like, come on, just something, or a morale win, right? Obviously it worked out to where, just like Tony Football predicted, number 1 pick, right? Like let's just tank here. I'm not necessarily disappointed in the year. I just feel like the Mooney, the Fields connection over the off season was promised. Nothing really happened there. I think Montgomery did really well. The rushing game did really well. Khalil Herbert showed out. So I'm kind of just like glad about that. obviously 3 wins isn't something to be crazy about, but I again, what happened at the end of the regular season
hold on.
was great.
Remember those? Yes, there's only 3 wins, but how many wins could have had win our way? How many wins could have been? How many losses? I mean, how many losses could have went our way? How many losses could have been wins? Had we had that talent? And let's not forget that there were so many close games with this 3-win team that could have changed the entire season, and against good opponents as well. So that tells me that what Ryan Poles has gotten right is the coaching staff that he was able to put together, is the culture that he's been able to put together, and that's something we haven't been able to say in a while. Remember all those trades that he's been doing with the Roquan, the Smith when he first came in, Khalil Mack, blowing it up is also what gave him a lot of draft picks this coming draft, all this cap space that we have going forward. So he's had a plan in place, and that's why I'm optimistic with when it comes to Ryan Poles and see what he can do. He just has to get it right. Has to get it right with these picks, with this trade, whatever he's trying to do in this offseason. And maybe just maybe, guys, we'll be in the top echelon team very soon of the league. I mean,
I
don't know about the league. I mean, the NFC is so wide open.
I said soon. I
don't know.
Look,
you know what? The NFC is wide open. As a matter of it's as wide open as it can be.
So is the North. So is the North.
That's true. That is true.
So is the North.
Let's go to the comments here, Robert. Just glad we're not drafting 18 through 23rd. Yes. In the first round, absolutely. Neil said Chicago has the opportunity to have a franchise quarterback, but Chicago's bound to mess this up.
That's
exactly what Eric's not hoping for.
That's facts too.
And then he said trade number 1 for Aaron Rodgers.
Hell no.
No way. I wouldn't do it.
He has demons and ghosts haunting him right now. I ain't trying.
I know.
It's that, and he also has I think it's like a $54 million cap hit too in his contract too as well. I'm good.
There goes half of our cap space that we have.
I was gonna say there's half of it.
Aaron Rodgers, nah.
All right. Well, that was Bears breakdown. Another Bears season under our belts. We can only be hopeful from here on out.
Zach LaVine, you are not that guy, pal. You are not that guy. Why are you shooting at 3?
He made 11 the other night. That's probably why.
Look, real quick, I don't want to veer from anything, but Vooch needs to shoot the last shot. Open it up for him and let him. He is the better 3-point shooter than the 3 that we have. The 3-man guy. He needs to be the one. I'm sorry, but go ahead, Rick.
Give it a Vooch at the end. The last second.
To say that your best 3-point shooter is a guy that barely
I don't
knocks
care.
30% of
his shoot-time all-star.
That is so bad, bro. That is so bad.
Oh,
reality.
Man. All right, let's finish off the episode with 4 stars of the week. If any of you guys are new to 4 stars of the week, we will pick 4 players, coaches, teams, fans, anything local to Chicago that we want to shout out this week in Chicago sports. Eric, is that hand raised? You first? I think you want to go first.
Me first.
All right, Eric.
He knows. I think we have the same pick, but go ahead, Eric.
Hell yeah! My star of the week, Lovie freaking Smith, bro.
Let's go,
Lovie Smith, bro. That's my star of the week. He helped the Bears out to get the number 1 pick. He may not be from Chicago. He may not, grew up in Inglewood or the South Side of Chicago. He may not be that guy. But that guy coached the Chicago Bears for 10 plus years, maybe even more, maybe even less. I don't know. But he helped out the Chicago Bears get the number 1 draft pick. That's the only thing I was excited about. He sacrificed his job for the love for Chicago. Lovie Smith is my star of the week.
Lovie Smith is the Chicago Bears Jesus Christ right now. He sacrificed himself.
I will find that picture. I will Photoshop that picture of Lovie Smith with Jesus on it, and just the one like this. And then just and he will be on my candle, and I will burn.
He has the beard for it too.
He does.
He has the beard. Lovie Smith, I appreciate you, bro. We knew you loved Chicago from the start. That's why you took that job from Illinois, and then just screw that one up.
I think
Lovie, you my star of the week, bro.
I think I might have to make that picture. I think we're gonna have to definitely put that on a shirt or something. So Jose, well. let me go with Jack's real quick here.
Go ahead.
Jack will go next. For his star of the week is going to be Lucas Reichel from the Blackhawks with his first NHL goal and 2 assists versus the Flames the other day. So Lucas Reichel, hopefully a rising star for the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah,
again,
let's hope. Let's hope. That'd be great.
Let's hope so.
So
that was a goal. Yeah, for sure. Congrats to him. Second star of the week, Lucas Reichel. Tony Football, who's number 3?
That so I was gonna go with the coach with Lovie Smith. I knew Eric was gonna go there, so I let him to go there. But I still have another coach I wanna get to, and that's my boy Matt Eberflus. He gets my star of the week. Why? Because unlike Lovie Smith, he knew what was important here, which was the number 1 pick, and he benched Justin Fields for this game, knowing that what's his name, those Peterman and
Boyle,
and the other guy Boyle, that they weren't going to win this game. So my star goes to Matt Eberflus for securing the dub, securing the bag, and getting this number 1 pick for the 2023 draft. That's my star of the week, Matt Eberflus. That's my boy. You go. That's what
I love it. About. I love it. And it's so funny that all 3 of us, because even I was going to pick Lovie Smith too. I was going to give it to Lovie. I was like, to finish it off, give it to Lovie for getting us the number 1.
Right.
I'm going to finish it off. 4th star of the week. I'm going to give it to Zach. 11 3-pointers made. I know. 11 3-pointers made. 40 some points in that game against the who was it? The Jazz or something like that? I think it was the Jazz. I know he disappointed us tonight from Tony Basketball's reaction there on that 3-pointer. But I gotta give it to Zach. He did really well in that game, something that we haven't seen from him in a pretty long while. So I'm gonna give it to Zach for 4th star of the week. And Georgia is just dominating TCU. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's not even a game, man. It's embarrassing
anymore to watch.
Georgia, New Alabama.
This is the reason why I do not watch college football. Is for this exact reason.
Well, it's much more. The national championship is much more competitive than this. They're going. Yeah. They're going to what, a 6 team? Is it, or 12 team?
I think 12.
I think
12 or 8. Yeah. It's something like that.
Oh no, 8. 8 sounds right. 8 sounds right.
Yeah. So they're moving to that. So it should be a lot more competitive. But
yeah,
man,
Rick, I would have accepted Ryan Poles as your 4 star of the week. So I'm gonna use him as an honorable mention. Is Ryan Poles for making this team as bad as it can be and get the number 1 overall pick.
True. We got Ginger in here saying Alex Caruso just because. Love it. Love that he's an honorable mention for 4 stars of the week. But yeah, Ryan Poles, yeah, for sure. It's just, I want to give it to Zach. I want to show him some love.
No, you're right. We can't.
If
we're going to criticize him for the bad, we gotta shout him out for the good. He has been playing a lot better.
You gotta elevate him. If Lovey is Jesus Christ, he's the Virgin Mary in this situation.
Come on, man.
Super honorable mention, Virginia McCaskey.
Oh yeah,
turning 100.
Whole hundred. She's seen more football than I can ever forget. So, all right. Well, that was Big League Chicago. Thank you guys for thank all you guys for joining us in the chat, in the stream. Jinja, Robert, Beer Down, just like you see Eric there. Paulina, thank you. Kyle. Who else do we have in the chat? Unseen Pets. Thank you guys for joining us here in the chat for Big League Chicago, brought to you by Star 6 Media. Go check out all our other shows. Go listen to EAFP with Eric to get all your soccer knowledge ready to go. Only football. Stay tuned for Only Football. Yeah, back this week. Only Football. Stay tuned for Kyle and I as we go over the final regular season week of the NFL and go into the playoffs. JCA Sports, tune in on Wednesday to hear Jose, Eric, John, and whoever else they got coming on, any guests, all in the chat too, for your national sports coverage. 3 Up, 3 Down for all your baseball coverage. Sports Strip Live, boxing, MMA, wrestling, with your boy Tony Wrestling down there.
Yeah.
And Slot Shot. Tune into Slot Shot to hear some NHL podcasts and news and stuff. But all right, boys. Well, thank you guys for joining me on this episode. Appreciate you guys. Go Bears, go Bulls, go Hawks, go Cubs, go Sox, I guess. John and Jack aren't here, but I guess we'll give them a shout out. Anything else before we get out of here?
No, we're it, guys. Make sure to tune in to Sports Drip Live tomorrow. My brother and I are back, and we'll have a great show. That's pretty much it.
And the EAFP podcast will be back on Thursday.
There
Time
you go.
TBD.
All right, there you go, guys. See you, boys.